well then you are the white master slaves representation.
But at the end of the day,
that's not something to be proud of. That's not something to be proud of.
Hello beautiful light-skinned ladies, welcome back to my channel, and hello to all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new here, my name is Dolce K, and I make content about light-skinned Black women's experiences, specifically within navigating skin tone discrimination. And I also make videos about culture and spirituality, as well as positive affirmations for uplifting our identity and our phenotype. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely hit the like button and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so that you'll get notifications whenever I post new content. And if you're here because you saw the shorts that I posted of this old Tyra Banks episode, you're in for a treat, because I'm actually going to be discussing that conversation today and really breaking down what everyone had to say bit by bit. And this is not to bash anyone. People change over the years. So yeah, this isn't to bash anyone, but there are a lot of, Black women who may have found themselves in a similar situation or in a similar dynamic, or who may share the same talking points as either of these women. And so that's why something like this is still relevant today, especially seeing that Tyra is such a big figure and a part of Black history. Okay, so if you haven't seen the full video clip, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Please enjoy and stay tuned for the commentary.
I have a woman that was on my show, and she talked about how much she hated Black women, and she was Black. And she said that she wasn't Black, and she was darker than me, and she was Black. But anyway, we found out later, she came to the show again, and we found out that she was abused by a Black woman, a brown-skinned Black woman in her family that locked her in a closet and would say negative, awful things to her. And that developed this hate for Black women, and to separate herself from that. Have you had anything in your childhood from a dark-skinned Black woman that happened?
Nobody in my family that's dark-skinned or that I encountered with that's dark-skinned abusing me. What I was trying to tell y'all, I was friends with dark-skinned people. Me being in elementary school, junior high school, high school.
What happened? Something happened.
They treated me, Tyra, disrespectfully and bad, because I wasn't dark like them, or I was light like them.
But do you understand why?
Dark-skinned females never treated me right.
No, I'm not talking about 5 years ago. I'm talking about 200 years ago.
With slaves, okay.
Do you understand why you feel the way you feel?
And I still feel the way I feel, Tyra.
Do you understand that you're that white master's dream right now?
I still feel the way I feel.
That you are his dream? Do you understand that they separated us back then by skin color to create you? To make us separated, to make us weak?
I do, Tyra, I understand.
Okay, well then you are the white master slaves representation.
But at the end of the day,
that's not something to be proud of. That's not something to be proud of. Do you understand why?
No, I don't understand why they would treat me like that.
I'm going to school you right now, and I'm going to school you right now. And this is not my story, but it is my story because I'm a Black woman. So I feel the pain of a dark-skinned Black woman, even though that's not my path. The reason why they treated you like that is because they were hurting so bad, because so many people treated them bad. So many people said, you're dark, you're ugly, your hair's nappy, your lips are this, your nose is this, and you're disgusting. So when people hurt, they lash out. You're hurt, so you're lashing out. Do you understand what that is? You cannot blame somebody that is so hurt for years, ingrained in our community, lashing out at you for that.
Okay, so now that we've seen the video, let's go ahead and get into the commentary, starting off with my initial reaction. Honestly, you guys, when I first saw this, I thought it was a joke. I had never seen this episode, and I remember I used to watch the Tyra show. It was one of my favorite things to watch, along with America's Next Top Model. But I never remembered seeing this particular episode, and I thought I thought it was a joke, and I was laughing, you guys. I honestly was laughing, and even now when I like watch it, like rewatch it, there's certain bits that I find to be a little humorous because it's just like unbelievable. But you guys did not disappoint in the comments. The comment section is like VIP. You guys came through, and a lot of you said the exact same things that crossed my mind. But I also want to know, would you attend a show like this, or if you were an adult during the time that this episode aired, would the person you were back then have attended this type of show? Because I think I would have. I honestly think I would have, because it's like Tyra, you know. So yeah, and like, how would you have felt if you know, you were there in this audience? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know if you think colorism has changed since 200 years ago, or you know, like the 19th century. Let me know if you think it's changed since then. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack on both sides. I'm also going to be discussing the light-skinned savior complex. But yeah, I just want to reiterate, people change over the years, so this isn't about bashing anyone, but it's all just about exposing the mentality that a lot of us have as Black women, regardless of our skin tone, when it comes to talking about skin tone discrimination, otherwise known as colorism. Honestly, you can use those two interchangeably. In the United States, skin tone discrimination is a violation of your civil rights. So I like to say skin tone discrimination, and it can happen to anyone of any shade. The US doesn't care how much melanin you lack or have. Okay, so Tyra starts off by introducing this woman that she had on her show, another episode I did not see. And apparently this woman suffered a very anomalous and tragic childhood or experience, where she was locked in a closet as a child by another Black woman. And this is just like a very extreme example, right? Like, Tyra's basically saying that because this terrible extreme thing happened to this person, that's why they ended up not wanting to identify as Black or associate themselves with Black women specifically. But I think it's very interesting and telling that Tyra leads with this like anomalous, tragic, extreme experience in order to address what the guest has said about her experience. So yeah, it's almost like she's getting ready to invalidate her, as if to say, you know, you don't get to complain about how darker skinned Black women treat you if you didn't have an experience that was this tragic, right? It's going back to that concept of measuring and comparing people's suffering, like saying, oh, well, you know, this form of suffering is worse and more tragic than this form of suffering for that person. And it's like, while we can say that like for ourselves and based on our own preferences and our own perception, you can't say that for someone else. It's just like how when, you know, some women experience various types of violations, we all deal with it differently. So I don't really understand what Tyra's getting at here, other than to draw out an experience that was maybe unfavorable for that woman. I guess she's just looking for more. It's like, oh, well, something terrible had to happen for you to feel this way, right? So yeah, it's kind of like she's belittling whatever this woman has said, in the light of, well, this other Black woman had it way worse than you. So if you weren't locked in a closet, you don't have a right to complain. And so she starts like digging and pressuring the woman to like come up with something and say what happened to her. And yeah, while Tyra was introducing, this experience, Sadly, this is one of the parts where I did laugh just because of how much Tyra was emphasizing the word black. Like, what is she trying to say? And you guys came through in the comment section. So Celeste says, Tyra wanted to say blackity black black. And I feel like that's what she wanted to say. And it's just so suspect. Like when she says, she keeps emphasizing black, black. What is her problem with black women? Yeah, like she's emphasizing black in conjunction with pointing out that the woman was darker than her. So like, I mean, we get it, Tyra. We can see you. You're light skinned. I mean, I don't think that skin tone needs to be as like how much melanin a black person has needs to like emphasize their blackness. Like, no, I mean, it's just hilarious how she said that. Like, I don't know if she was thinking, oh, when people look at me, they probably think I'm mixed, but for her, they don't think that. So she was like undeniably black. I don't know. We don't have the terms, or we didn't have the terms back then that we do now. So maybe she was just trying to say that this was an unambiguous black woman. So maybe that's what she was trying to say. But for her to just emphasize the word black like that was very tone deaf. But it's okay. I digress. Okay, and then she moves in for the kill. Have you had anything in your childhood from a dark-skinned black woman that happened to you? And, you know, this is a lose-lose situation. Like, this is a lose-lose question. You can't win with this question because if something did happen to her, like, you know how people say, oh, who hurt you? You're so bitter. Who hurt you? Like, that's kind of what she's, like, hoping for, that she says something, like, super crazy off the wall, and they're gonna, like, shame her and be like, well, you're not credible, and you shouldn't feel the way that you feel because, you know, this really terrible thing happened to you. So you don't get to, you know, have this worldview because it's not normal. It's not normal for those things to happen to people in the first place. So of course you wouldn't have a sensical perspective, you know, and I'm not saying that that's exactly what Tyra was doing, but that's something that could have been in play here. It's a card that people play all the time, which is why I feel like you really should not share your traumas or things like that with, you know, a public, strange audience. Yeah, I don't think that you should do that unless you have created a platform for yourself and it's your own platform, which is what we have done here in this side of YouTube with all of our light-skinned black women representation channels and ambiguous black women representation channels and so on and so forth. Okay, then she says, you know, do you understand why dark-skinned females never treated you right? Like, do you understand why, though? So at this point, she's kind of talking over the guest because the guest is trying to say what she has to say, and we're going to get to what she said later on. But the guest is basically like, oh, well, she's trying to get it out. She can barely get it out because Tyra's like talking over her, and she doesn't even get to say much of anything, but we'll get into that later. Anyways, Tyra talks over her and she's like, well, do you understand why? So now we have completely like glazed over whatever traumatic thing happened to her, whatever thing happened to her that was traumatic. I guess Tyra heard what she was saying and Tyra thought that, oh, this isn't traumatic. This is just like, she shouldn't be taking this so personally, or that I don't consider that to be a traumatic experience. I don't know what was going through her head, but she just completely glazed over what the lady had to say and jumped right into like, oh, do you know why? Do you know why they treated you like that? Like, imagine you telling someone that, hey, I experienced skin tone discrimination, or I experienced some other form of abuse, and they're like, well, do you know why that happened to you? And it's like, what in the world? Like, who are you to tell me that you know why this awful thing happened to me? It's kind of like how, you know, when things happen to bad people and they're like, oh, you should have known better, or you shouldn't have done that. You should, yeah, it's just very invalidating. It's very invalidating. On to the next, though. Okay, so Rich Trick Baby, I hope I said that right, says she should have asked Tyra if she understood why Naomi Campbell hated her. Yeah, where is Naomi Campbell? Now, I do remember vaguely seeing the episode where Tyra brought Naomi Campbell on to her show to try to corner her into giving her an apology. I guess Naomi Campbell didn't like her or said something to her, or I don't know. But Tyra was like acting scared in interviews when talking about Naomi Campbell, talking about how she cries at night, cried into a pillow every day because the person who she looked up to disapproved of her and didn't like her. Yeah, and so I think that Tyra is now lashing out at this guest for that, because Naomi Campbell is a darker skinned black woman who did not like Tyra Banks. One, I mean, there was kind of like a competition. They were firsts for many things. Like both of them were firsts for many different things, right? And so there was this like competition, but I guess there was some words exchanged between the two of them, and it really struck a nerve with Tyra, and I think she really internalized that experience. And this is kind of where it starts when you become a light-skinned savior. This is where it starts, because I truly do believe that the woman that Tyra was at that time was the woman who creates a beauty standard or a self-worth standard as a black woman that's based on how much melanin she has in her skin. So she has to live with the fact that, she pedestalized and internalized a beauty standard that doesn't match, her image exactly, and also her worth on, her skin tone. Because I don't care what happened in history, no black woman should feel that something is wrong with them or be crying their eyes out because they didn't get the approval of another black woman, and it's based on a skin tone. Like, no, that definitely should not happen. And no, I personally do believe that it had to do with skin tone. I do believe that Tyra got her light skin wake up call, but refused to really let it sink in, and instead just took it the wrong way and created a whole inferiority complex based on that. But we're going to get into that some more. We're definitely going to get into that some more. And a lot of black women do this. A lot of light-skinned black women do this, where they know that people are discriminating against them on the basis of their skin tone. They know that people are being excessively aggressive with the way that they speak to them because they're lighter. They know that. But instead of, practicing mindfulness and self-compassion, they'll suppress it and try to identify even harder with, dark-skinned black women, even though they are not a dark-skinned black woman, and they make everything about skin tone. Like, you are still a black woman, even if you don't have a dark skin tone. It doesn't make you less of a black woman to have light skin. But I guess not to the Tyra in this episode. And I say that because of the things that Tyra says next. I'm basically saying that I don't think that Tyra understands that having light skin doesn't make you less black, because right here she starts making these points implying that having light skin means that you're less black than the next person. So she's like, oh, I'm talking about 200 years ago. They separated us by skin color to create you and make us weak. You're the white man's dream right now. That's not something to be proud of. Yeah, this is really messed up. So basically she's saying that her guest is the product of black people being separated, I guess, by white slave masters by skin color. Yeah, because she says to create you. So she's basically saying that the reason that her guest exists is because of the skin tone separation. And this, we're going to get into the whole skin tone thing of what you guys think this lady's skin tone is later on in the video. But basically she's saying that light-skinned black people are a product or are a result of black people being separated by skin tone and forced to only breed within their skin tone, I guess. I don't know. It's not exactly clear what she's saying, especially when she says you're the white man's dream right now. Whoa. I don't know what she's talking about. Is she trying to say that light skin isn't something to be proud of, and light-skinned black women are the white man's dream? Because it's just like, baby girl, have you looked in the mirror? Like, you're lighter than your guests, so are you the white man's dream too? And are you the product of black people being separated by skin tone? And this is so ironic because I don't know if you know, but Tyra has like well over 80% DNA. The average black American only has like 75% African DNA. She's got well over 80% DNA. I think she had like 88% African DNA. So she had all of that African DNA and she still came out looking like that. So like that's why I say like light skin does not mean that you're less black. And I even came across a video of this woman online from, she was a continental African, and she was light skinned, and she got her DNA done, and she had like 100% African DNA. So yeah, this is just really weird, but we have all been there, I think, and I'm happy that we have platforms like these to start, seeing what happened in the past and talking about it and talking with other, black women and other light-skinned black women to really unwrap all of these layers of indoctrination. Yeah, baby girl, skin tone is not a representation of your African DNA percentage. No, it just isn't. Okay, so this person says, this content creator says, the Willie Lynch letter is a lie. They did not separate based on skin color. That's a lie. Yeah, and so I don't really know what to think about that. Now, my personal opinion is that the Willie Lynch letter is a lie. But as far as if we were not separated based on skin color, I don't know. What's weird is I have yet to actually see documentation of slave masters separating us based on skin tone. I don't know if I would even see documentation of that. I remember years ago I read a slave autobiography, and he was a very light-skinned slave, and he was talking about how his master would, torture him in front of everyone else so that they understood that one drop rule is supreme to skin tone. But yeah, I don't know if they actually separated us based on skin tone. What I do know, however, is that black people did separate themselves based on skin tone. We definitely did that. Yeah, so way after slavery, we were enforcing the brown paper bag test in order for people to get admitted into different societies and black institutions. And then even as recent as 2007, there were chocolate parties, caramel parties, and light skin parties being thrown in Detroit. So yeah, our community has a history of being very color struck. Another great comment from Brittany. The white master's dream? Ma'am, your most recent relationships are with men who resemble white masters. Nothing against interracial relationships. She just irritated me with that BS. Also, will she have that same energy if this occurs with her own child? I'm just curious. Yeah, so this is a really great question. First, I want to point out that Tyra has the lighter skin. She's rocking long, blonde, straight hair. She naturally has lighter eyes. She has a more narrow nose and a more like oblong, long face, right? So she has a lot of, stereotypically less Afrocentric features, right? And then on top of that, she dates white men. So like, wouldn't she, if we're going off of the logic that, most people prefer to date inside of their race, or that, Eurocentrism is the beauty standard in white America, babe, wouldn't you fit that beauty standard more closely than your guest, who you're saying is the white master's dream? And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the indoctrination in our community that, white slave masters were violating black female slaves of all skin tones? So like I guess I don't think it was the skin tone that was their dream. I think it was the slavery that was their dream, like the access to slave women that was their dream. Yeah, but anyways, it's always women like these, like with this mindset. It's this type of mindset, women with this type of mindset where they're like super quick to date white men, but then they also want to put down or belittle a woman who they believe has a proximity to whiteness, or even a white woman herself, right? So like, how are you going to have smoke for a white woman and not smoke for like your mixed kid and your white husband? Like, how? And I think part of it stems from this sense of entitlement, or this sense of entitlement to black women's identity. I really do think that's a huge part of it, because no one is getting upset at mixed women for having light skin. No one's getting upset. I mean, I don't think Tyra would have said to a mixed person that a mixed person shouldn't be proud of having mixed heritage because they're the representation of the white slave master, right? But because this woman is a black woman who happens to have a lighter skin tone, then she gets to use those talking points and put her down and tell her she can't be proud of her heritage. I don't know. I'm just saying, keep the same energy. Keep that same energy with your child. Or don't. Or maybe not. Just don't have the energy for anyone. That would be the best option. Don't have this energy with anyone. Don't try to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't be proud of when it comes to their phenotype, identity, and heritage. But then when Tyra says this about, blaming people who have been hurt for many, many years, I think that's when I stopped laughing and I got like really upset, because it just sounded so one-sided. Okay, so first off, Tyra is light-skinned, yet she says that she resonates more with the pain that dark-skinned black women endured from skin tone discrimination. But then she's completely out of touch with the skin tone discrimination that she experienced with Naomi Campbell, when Naomi Campbell was treating her as less than because she has fewer Afrocentric features and lighter skin. And she was also a model that was, taking a lot of furs that Naomi Campbell could have easily gotten as well. So she wants to suppress that experience. And instead of, walking in her own truth of what transpired between her and Naomi Campbell, she wants to walk in dark-skinned black women's truth. And I think that is just so arrogant. Like, it's very arrogant to think that you as a light-skinned black woman can feel the pain that a dark-skinned black woman feels from skin tone discrimination. We both experience skin tone discrimination, but in very different ways. And Tyra listed off some of those things. But there are multitudes of light and lighter skinned women across all generations who live their entire lives being treated poorly by other black people for the color of their skin. Like light skinned women, we get called dirty, crazy, arrogant, hussies, weak. And then if we have type 4 hair, we're told we have the wrong type of hair, or that we're a waste of light skin. And then some of us even grew up being fetishized and molested for years, molested as a child for years, with no one to go to, because if you try to tell the adults that, hey, this person is molesting me and they're a black person, then, oh, we don't believe you because you're a light-skinned little girl, and that means you're a liar. Yeah, that is a real thing. That is a common experience among light-skinned black women. And then Tyra even implied that this woman's skin tone and her existence makes the black race weak. Like, you can go back and play it again. So I'm not feeling anything that she's saying in this about you cannot blame somebody that is so hurt ingrained in our community for years, lashing out at you for that. Yeah, no, Tyra, because what you're missing is that there are plenty of light-skinned Black women who live their entire lives holding pain from how they were treated by their own community. And I'm talking about real pain. And you want to hear something dramatic? There's plenty of stories. Just start talking to light-skinned Black women, because there's plenty of traumatic stories of us being discriminated against by our own community. And that what I mentioned with the whole fetishization and molestation and nobody believing you because you're a light-skinned girl, that's real. That shit is real. Excuse my language. That's real. So yeah, I don't understand why this is so one-sided and you're a light-skinned Black woman. And I see this pattern a lot with light-skinned saviors, is that they refuse to show themselves any form of self-compassion. They refuse to walk in their truth because they feel that if they walk in their truth and say, I'm a light-skinned Black woman who was discriminated against based on being light-skinned, they feel that that is a direct attack on dark-skinned Black women and their experience with colorism, and it's not. Two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. You know, so I'm not saying that colorism isn't real or that dark-skinned Black women, don't experience colorism. They absolutely do, but it is not the same as what we experience. And I'm not saying someone has it worse. No one has it worse, and no one has it better. And I stand 10 toes down on that, because if you're not a light-skinned Black woman, you can't say that you had it worse. And if you're not a dark-skinned Black woman, you can't say that you had it better or that you had it worse. Like, you can't, because you're you, and you can't be anyone else but you. So you don't know, maybe you don't mind, maybe you don't mind being molested and fetishized on the basis of your skin tone, but maybe the other person minds, and they really become traumatized by that. So like, why are we sitting here trying to play oppression Olympics? And yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. Tyra is pedestalizing the pain that dark-skinned Black women go through from colorism. And she's saying that dark-skinned Black women are more important than light-skinned Black women. That's exactly what she's saying. Because this woman tried to, and we're going to get into what she said, but this woman tried to say, hey, this happened to me and I was discriminated against based on my skin tone and I was treated poorly. She tried to say that, and Tyra did not care. And again, this is not about Tyra, because right now what we're looking at is a clip of Tyra, but this could easily be any light-skinned Black woman. There's a lot of light-skinned saviors who think like this. But yeah, Tyra didn't care that light-skinned woman had experienced skin tone discrimination, because she feels that it doesn't matter. She feels that, dark-skinned Black women are more important than, or dark-skinned Black women's experience with colorism is more important than the skin tone discrimination that light-skinned Black women experience. Yes, and it's not fair, especially in this country with the laws that we have now. If you look up the law, Title VII Civil Rights Act, everyone is protected from skin tone discrimination, including Black women, Black people of all shades, even same race skin tone discrimination. Yeah, check out my past videos for more information on that. I did a whole video called The Case for Colorism. And you'll learn about the history of how we came to have this protection against same race color discrimination. Okay, so now you can clearly see the image that I took from the video of her guest. And this is the most that this woman was really able to get out very clearly as Tyra was talking over her. Before we get into what she said, look at her skin tone. Yeah, excuse me. I don't gatekeep skin tone, and this is exactly why I made that video why the term light skin is inclusive, because anyone can be discriminated against in the Black community for not being dark enough. Literally anyone. So based on what I saw in the comments and what I've seen in past discussions, most people would consider this brown skin. Me, I don't really have like a strong opinion. I know that it varies based on your geographic location in the United States. So like even a deep skin tone complexion like this could definitely be considered as light skin in southern states. In northern states, maybe not so much. But the term light skin is highly inclusive because you have a woman who looks like this, who Tyra is saying is the white slave master's dream. I'm laughing because it's just so ridiculous. And even though she looks the way that she does, she still had the experience that she had. And this is what she says. They treated me, Tyra, disrespectfully and bad because I wasn't dark like them or I wasn't light like them. And this is so big. People miss it because Tyra was talking over her, but she's basically talking about the experience that a lot of the quote unquote people who identify as brown skin talk about catching it from both sides. So, a Black person with a skin tone shade similar to this can be discriminated against by other Black people for not being dark enough and also for not being light enough as well. Yeah, it's very sad. And I hope that woman found her own platform because it's just very sad. I would love to hear more about her story. We like to say that Black lives matter and that Black women's lives matter, but situations like this, like discussions like this and how she was just ran over, it's just symbolic of how we don't matter sometimes, not even to our own people. So yeah, we have to fight for that. We have to fight to take up space and to matter and create our own platforms to uplift ourselves. So this person says, he's quoting her, I was friends with dark-skinned brown people, as if she's not a dark-skinned person as well, which is exactly what I was alluding to. This was actually the only comment that I saw in the comment section talking about her actual skin tone. Excuse me. And she didn't say brown people. She just said dark-skinned people. So she didn't use the word brown at all, actually. I think she understands that she's a brown-skinned woman. I just think that she was too flabbergasted. I love using that word, flabbergasted. I think she was too flabbergasted and nervous and shocked to articulate that she identifies as a brown-skinned woman and that she catches it from both sides. I think she was just very shocked by Tyra's response as well. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people would not consider her to be light-skinned. Me, the term light-skinned is inclusive, so I'm not saying that she isn't light-skinned. Anybody can be light-skinned depending on what community you come from and what culture you come from. But yeah, great comment, and good job pointing that out. And this person, JD, says, what a stupid topic. I know God is sighing with how ridiculous his creation has become. Yes, mankind has really alienated himself from God's thinking. Yeah, I really appreciate your comment, honestly, because it brought up some bittersweet feelings for me. It is embarrassing, actually, and let me know in the comments if you can relate to this, but when something traumatic happens to you and it's so petty, or not petty, but it's why of all things, it's not even something that is you just wouldn't think that someone would go after you for that, so with this whole skin tone discrimination thing, it can feel very embarrassing to experience that, especially when you don't have the words to articulate it. It can feel very embarrassing. And what a lot of light-skinned Black women do is we just tuck it in and we just are okay, it's not safe for me to dress this way, or it's not safe for me to say this, or it's not safe for me to feel this way, or I'm going to get attacked because I'm light skinned. So yeah, it's very embarrassing, and it's like one of the biggest kept secrets. I do think this is still important though, because just look at how many Black girls and women were in the audience, and then think about how many Black girls and women were tuning into this show. And then Tyra is a huge part of Black history too. So yeah, it's a big deal. And I guess the producers felt like it was a important enough topic to discuss on her show. But yeah, this is a very impactful piece of propaganda, and I think it did play a significant role in our today's rhetoric and the misunderstanding, the conception that light-skinned Black women don't experience skin tone discrimination when we absolutely do, and that's exactly why we are protected against skin tone discrimination by Title VII Civil Rights Act. And that's thanks to a light-skinned Black woman named Tracy Morrow, aka Tracy Walker. So thank you, Tracy Morrow, and thank you, Tracy Walker, for making sure that we're protected against such a stupid topic, such an embarrassing experience, such a degrading experience. And no one should be discriminated against for the color of their skin. No one at all. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what comments came up for you, or what thoughts came up for you, what feelings came up for you. If you made it to the end of this video, please do yourself a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. You'll also be doing me a favor, and join this community of women who are standing up for ourselves. We're creating our own platforms. If you are a light-skinned Black woman listening to this and you're ready to stand in your truth and not anyone else's, and you're ready to show yourself some self-compassion, uplift your phenotype and your identity, stop living in the shadows of 200 years ago, definitely join and create your channel, babe. Create your channel. There are so many channels, it's not just mine, that are out here, such as Shades of Resilience, Exoticals United, the Brown Skin Exotical, the Black Exotical. Yeah, you're in the exotical space, y'all. Yeah, you are. And my niche specifically, and Shades of Resilience's niche specifically, is light-skinned Black women and our experiences. So yeah, if you are a light-skinned Black woman or a light-skinned mixed woman, like you're like mixed with Black, then definitely join the community. And I encourage you to create your own platform so that something like this that we witnessed today never happens to you. You always have a safe space to talk about your experiences and stand up for yourself. All right, well, that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day.